Damas y caballeros, le damos la bienvenida a los atletas y jueces al Grand Prix de Espada Bogotá 2025. Finales categoría femenina.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome athletes and referees to the 2025 Bogota epee Grand Prix.
Here we go.
On piste podium, Husisian Hadley from United States.
After a day of qualification to get into the top 64 2 days ago, and then today starting with the 64.
Breakout from Romania and Jong Jin-man from Korea.
We are here, and let's get ready to rumble with the 9th-ranked 21-year-old Hadley Husisian against the 4th-ranked 35-year-old Giulia Rizzi of Italy, Husisian from the United States. Referee is Reka Balog of Romania, assisted by Jung Jinman of Korea. And the side judges are Alexa Olar of Venezuela and Efstatios Sideros of Greece. That name killed me all day. You can see Rizzi almost a head taller, half a head taller, longer. And there we go, 1 minute of no fencing, no touches scored rather, P yellow cards. If that were to happen again in this bout, or a minute of no touches being scored, you'd have P reds. In that case, each fencer would get a point. And if it would happen a third time, which almost, well, there's Husisian on the board, which almost never happens to have a P black. It's the higher seeded fencer coming into the competition, which would be Rizzi, who would win if the score was tied. Actually, Rizzi's seated fourth here, but she's seated she's seated fourth here, but third, and Husisian is seventh. They've only met once, back in 2023. Rizzi was a 5-4 winner. Husisian attacked against the longer Rizzi, who was able to counter with a one-lighter. Let's watch. Actually, riposte to the arm. Good for the goose, good for the gander. A post by Husisian. Here's Madrigal. Coach. We're going to go to the break tied. Do a little dance. Okay. Both fencers had lopsided bouts in their semis, and this appears to be that this is going to be a barn burner right to the end. If you're going to base it on the first period, Husisian tucking that mane of hair into her jacket. There was a riposte. So two of the three touches Husisian has scored have been on ripostes. And she's going to have to play on the blade because she's up against a longer opponent. Again on the blade is Husisian, but this time Rizzi's able to get the double. That was a sneaky one by Rizzi. She almost allowed Husisian to parry her, and this slid in the remise there when Husisian sort of took a little too long setting up her riposte. It almost looked like that was pre-planned. Nice one there. So, as I said earlier, Rizzi has 3 silvers in Grand Prix, including the most recent one in Budapest. 14-12 ahead of Maximenko, wasn't able to close it out. And you know that she's thinking about it. She has to be. This is already Husisian's best result with a silver at a Grand Prix. He previously had a bronze at a World Cup in Marrakesh recently, and I believe last year a Doha, also a Grand Prix bronze. Yes. Rizzi knows she has an advantage with the two-touch lead against the shorter fencer who has to attack. She doesn't want to be passive, but she does need to take unnecessary risks with that two-touch lead. It's up to Husisian, who's going to have to take a risk. Neither's going to take a risk here as we're going to go to the break. Okay. So Giulia Rizzi, in her quest to win her first gold medal at a Grand Prix, has opened it up with a two-touch lead.
Talk to me. What makes you think like you're going after her?
And she knows that Husisian, everything that she does, most of what she does is on the blade. She knows she's going to be taking the blade.
The same pressure, okay? But may have gone. The way you heard, the way you do your prayer report. If for any reason you feel
And when you're the fencer in the lead, you also know your opponent is somewhat single-mindedly focused on trying to score because they're behind. And that also gives you the opportunity to surprise them because they're thinking more about offense than they are about defense. Obviously, at the beginning of the third period, it's 3 minutes. That might not be the case right away, but it will be as you get closer to the end.
doing so well, but I just need those details. Be aware of those details. When you push, don't into it. Poi giro incontro di piazza, ma stretta, Forse coraggio.
As disappointed as Rizzi must have been after Budapest, she probably didn't think that she'd be right back in the same position at the next Grand Prix, and she is. And she did what I said you might do. She attacked, thinking that Husisian might not be thinking defense, but she was, and scored on the riposte. So she took a risk a little bit early, paid the price. Husisian fleshed against the longer reached fencer Rizzi without taking the blade, and that certainly put her at a slight disadvantage. That's another attack by Husisian that Rizzi was able to double there. She needs to get a little closer, take the blade, or maybe draw out like she did in the first action, draw out the attack and make the riposte. Her riposte has been really successful. But as she was coming forward, she got popped. It appeared on the arm. You could see the body language there of Husisian. She's a little bit down. Rizzi keeping impeccable distance here against the shorter fencer. Biggest lead there of 4 as she inches closer to her first gold at a Grand Prix. She's got things well at hand here, does Rizzi. Well, a little over anxious there, but with a 5-touch lead, why not? Double was good for Rizzi, not good for Husisian. One away from the elusive Grand Prix gold for Giulia Rizzi of Italy. Not yet. Not yet. That's 4 match points in a row going back to Budapest, where she hasn't closed it out. 5, actually. She's done it! It's finally gold for Giulia Rizzi of Italy. After 3 silvers and the disappointment in Budapest back in March, she's done it. Gold medal for Giulia Rizzi. Yeah, finally she smiled. I was waiting for that. So stoic. What a great story after the really difficult loss to Maximenko in Budapest. To get right back on the horse and do it this time.
What I saw is like you were trying to apply the game, but she figured it out, and she was doing what we're supposed to do.
And there it is. That was the touch that brought her the gold medal here in Bogota. A night that she'll always remember. Giulia Rizzi, your champion at the Bogota Grand Prix 2025. It's official. There it is.